hey, look, guys, Sora still exists. Look at the 8080 that we made. Here's Calcasters. Oh my god.
Oh,
Crazy.
could you imagine?
Oh, dude.
That-
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hey Show podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, are my good friends Kyle
Hello.
and Hunter. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Feels kind of dead this week, you know? Like, Zelda came out and the world just kind of stopped. Everyone just went to torturing Koroks and went on their way, you know? Nothing else seemed to
Yeah,
happen.
it's crazy. But it's funny how Zelda's been out for a week, and somehow it feels like it hasn't been an entire week since it's been out, but it also feels like I've been spending an eternity with this game.
Oh, for me, it feels like an eternity. Like, it feels like, because I've had this week off, that it's like this game's been out for like a millennium, and it's like, oh wow, I've put like 60 hours in and I'm still nowhere near done. That's great. It's great and it isn't great, because it's like, I feel like I'm about to hit that curve of, it's going to happen as soon as I get to work, where it's like, I've done too much pissing about, and eventually the curve's going to plateau. I'm 100 shrines, so it's like, it's about to dip, and I'm going to go into just fucking bomb the main story mode real quick. I can tell that much. Because it's just like, I don't know what it is. The game's great. I'm having a fantastic time. But also, there's only so much no progress you can make until you're like, okay, no, I'm really making no progress here. I've done like all the substantial side quests now. All that's really around me are do you want to go get 10 of these? And I'm like, no, I don't want to get 10 of these. Bye. Like, that's my vibe right now. So
Yeah, I can't imagine playing the game like you did. I think I was doing a good job balancing between like main story stuff and then side questy kind of stuff. I'm at
well,
the final boss now, so
you're nearly done.
you know.
I think
Really,
I'll
is
have
it
it done
very-
next
It
week.
do be like that.
I'll have it done next
Oh.
week, probably. I won't have as nearly as much time, but you know, it's like, I feel like today was my final good day of pissing about and doing nothing in terms of story. I feel like that was it. I did like the shipwreck town, the town where the monsters invaded it, so you had to do all that. So I sorted all that out.
Oh, the
And
pirate town?
Yeah. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm ready to go unless more side quests show up, which if it's
I
anything
found
like the Rito
pirates
Village, it won't be.
elsewhere on the map, and I was a little bit bummed to find out that they were just regular bokoblins and stuff.
Oh yeah, they just got a ship.
I wanted them to have like at least hats or peg legs or something.
No, it's just a
Oh.
big fat one on a ship. That's basically it. That's what it is. Just the big fat one. That is the pirate hunter. Is the big fat bokoblin.
Yeah.
Big boy.
I've killed them elsewhere, but I haven't went to the town that they've especially been harassing yet.
Well, it's that, and it's like the last place to explore is the underground, and fuck the underground, dude. Like the depths, no, thank
So
you.
big.
I've had enough
I
of
like-
it. I've explored
like
probably like a fifth of
exploring
it,
down
and I'm
there.
like,
It's
I
fun, but
know,
that's
it's
an element
miserable.
of danger.
there's no right. I'm too OP. That's the problem. Is I've got 20 hearts. I've got like, I'm fully kitted out. I've upgraded my stuff like 6 times. I'm like, I'm
Well,
good.
I think
So
the issue
nothing's-
here is maybe I wasn't a coward, and I've been exploring down there since like 7 hearts.
Well, it's not a coward hunter. There's nothing more miserable to me than, oh, it's pitch black. Someone turned the light on. Like literally, it's just me firing bow and arrow. Oh, I'm out of arrows now. Now I've
Oh,
got to
out
go
of
and find
arrows.
which tingle is restocked out of the 4 tingles in the map. Not tingle. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Beetle.
Beetle. That's it. Fucking Beetle. That's it. Find the 4th Beetle because they all are different for some reason. Get him restocked. Give me some arrows.
I mean, they sell
Stop.
arrows at pretty much any shop you go to.
They do, but I've only been to like 2 towns, Kyle. We gotta remember this.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta remember this. Big brain.
Oh yeah.
Gotta remember, Kyle. I've not been there. I've been to the
Sorry,
Rito
you did all the
Village. That's
side
it.
shit. I thought you opened up everything.
I did. I just didn't go into any of the towns because like it might stop the
I
story.
glued the shiny rock to a stick, and that lit the way for me.
It didn't even work for me. I did that.
Yeah,
and
I
it was
tried
like
that.
no.
I didn't get it. It didn't
for me.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't a Zelda episode. This
What
isn't a
is
Zelda
this?
episode.
This is fake news, Hunter.
We did that last week. If you want to hear our first impressions from the first 20 or so hours of that game, you can go and catch it back up on youtube.com/ourgamersonly or on podcast services. We've talked a lot about it. I'm sure we'll keep talking about it because there's no other fucking games coming out for a good while, so we're good.
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch is dead, so
Overwatch is
Oh,
dead.
yeah.
Do you want me
cheers to that.
That is not the reason that I'm in a bad mood, but it could be. For all I care, it could be. God, man. But no, this week we're not here to shit on Overwatch. We might, if we run out of time, we'll put it on the addendum. If we run out of time, I'll shit on Overwatch for half an hour. But no, we're here to talk about. We've been playing Tears of the Kingdom, a very good open world video game. So we're here to talk about awful open world video games because I feel like we're just too positive on this podcast. We always love talking about the things that we love. We never talk about things we hate. So why not talk about awful open worlds? Because I think open world games is one of our probably least favorite genres. So when they hit, but when they miss, they pretty much miss. So God, they miss. So we'll talk about all of them. We've got quite a few picks, so we'll talk all about them. But yeah, if you're new here, welcome on in. We're here every Monday around 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time. If you want to catch us on podcasts or at YouTube, we're so close to 200 subs. We're like 5 or so subs away from 200.
Last time I checked.
As of recording, so if you could go to youtube.com/hotgamersonly and give us a quick subscribe, that'd be awesome. We are so close, and then me and Hunter will talk all about Tears of the Kingdom, some more because you haven't heard that enough. We've got some stuff coming up throughout the rest of the year, so if you could go and hit us with that subscribe, that's great. We're obviously not doing predictions for PlayStation's whatever it's called showcase. It's not a state of play showcase. We'll be talking about them next week when all the stuff is revealed. If I have time, I might put an article up on hotgamersonly.com with some of my things that I'm hoping that show up or don't show up. I don't know. We'll see if I have time to do that between playing Zelda and going back to work. We'll see. But look for it there if it is there. But yeah, we'll talk about it next week. And then as we roll into Summer Game Fest, we'll talk about everything. I'm sure we'll do a podcast with predictions for the rest of it. We'll see. We'll see we'll see what's in store. It's a busy June. Usually we don't have a busy June. Usually June's dead because it's usually like the reserved for announcing games, not releasing them. So it's kind of this weird reverse where there's way too many games coming out in June. So we'll figure it out. Anyway, with that all said and done, let's get into it. Awful open world video games. Hunter, we were talking about this before we started. I was kind of in the same place where I'm like, there are some that are very mediocre, but it's like, to be a truly awful, you've got to do something.
There aren't a whole lot that I can think of that are truly bad. It's just kind of like the general structure is sort of annoying because everything's big and far away, and none of it's nearly as interesting to do as people who make them seem to think it is.
But my thing is, right, I was thinking about this, and then I was also like, nah, fuck this for a second. If this is going to be the most normie, mainstream video game ever, like, genre of all time that just keeps getting made, is the isekai of video game genres, where it's just like every fucking video game under the sun at the moment is an open world video game with RPG-light elements. And it's like, if they're that mediocre that when something like Tears of the Kingdom comes out, or Elden Ring comes out, and you're like, wow, this is a truly great experience, and it's something that literally hundreds of them get made every year, there's a bit of a problem. So I've been less kind, and if it's mid, I've got my section split up into two. I've got obvious bad ones and controversial bad ones, which some people will like, and I think are shite. There we go. We'll talk about those in a bit. Yeah, some spicy takes. They're not that spicy. They're just... We'll see. Anyway,
don't tell them.
Hunter, we'll start with you. You can go first. What have you got? What do you want to talk about?
Well, the first one that came to mind that is just truly wretched as far as its open world. No More Heroes 3.
Oh dear God.
Great! What a great start!
Oh God. Okay, so No More Heroes 3, a very good game for about 15% of it, which is the 15% that you're at fighting bosses. And then the rest of it, you have to putz around this open sandbox that is very bland. It looks like it was constructed for the PS2. Everything is far away. Participation in doing the activities is semi-mandatory because you never have enough money to actually go to your next objective right away. So you're just riding around on Travis's stupid, very slow motorcycle from place to place, trying to find trying to find a bunch of jobs that are like, kill these random goons for $1,500 or whatever the quantity was. I don't remember anymore, but there was so much. Typically when I play video games, I tend to just play the game and not have anything external around me while I do that, unless it's like something like Tetris. With No More Heroes, I just started putting on podcasts and stuff while I was doing the grindy part, because that's what being in that open world was like. It was literally a grind to just get out eventually.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. I've got a great example of that where it's like, I hate when this happens, where it's like the game's that boring that you're complying with it, but you also need something external to actually stimulate you in any sense to get through it. I hate, like, because what's the point? You failed at your fucking job if I have to get up YouTube and listen to some chuckle fucks talk while I'm playing. It's like...
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if this is like the era of like 360 or PS4, like talking with friends became a lot more kind of prevalent, where it's like a lot of people do. The amount of time I spent in my late teens just talking to friends while playing video games, having it as the kind of background thing while it's there. It's as if these guys were like, they need a game to play while they sit there and mindlessly drone. Let's get that. And it's like, it's so mindless and boring. I just don't get it.
It's annoying too, because like the actual, like, the mechanics of the combat in No More Heroes is the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
As far as in 3, it's just inside the structure of a man who's been stretched on the biggest medieval stretching machine ever. So there's nothing to do of substance. The game is 90% fat.
I had completely forgotten about No More Heroes 3, and you bring it up again just like made me think, yeah, that open world definitely just made me give up on that game. I think I got to fight 2 of the bosses before I'm like, all right, this is exhausting. I can't do this anymore.
Like, I hate to be...
Those were 2 good bosses, I thought, though.
I hate to be a bitch about it, but I remember when you two were talking about it, because we've been doing this podcast that long enough now that we can do this for quite a few games now, where it's like, you were talking about it, you guys were excited for it, and I was like, am I the only one that thinks that this game looks like ass? And then it comes out, and I was like, for once I'm right. For once, I know I have terrible opinions at times, but I was like, for once in my life, I am right.
I didn't think it was going to be that tedious. Like, I thought that, like, in the first No More Heroes game, it had the open sandbox, and for whatever reason, the way it wasn't, like, exciting to do things in that one either, but also it wasn't like I was trying to swim through molasses to get to my objective. There was some kind of balance there that I was actually moving along at a nice pace.
Yeah. I kind of wish that 3 would have just kept the menu select like in No More Heroes 2.
As far as I'm concerned, if they would have done that to let you go to the bosses, and then if they wanted to have this extra nothing open world to explore...
Yeah,
in quotes there.
Of the video game, just like, here's the side thing you can piss about in if you want
is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, Hunter.
Like a Lego open world, just kind of exists, and it's
it just kind of exists if you want to walk to these places, sure, but you know, being allowed to just move on would have been nice.
You'd think. Speaking of this, I'm gonna get this out of the way. Rip the band-aid off because we're talking about it, dude. Modern Assassin's Creed. Let's just get it fucking out here, right? And specifically, I want to say Assassin's Creed Valhalla because...
Here we go.
Modern day Assassin's Creed is the video game equivalent of filing your taxes. It is fucking tragic. It is loathsome. It is tiresome. It takes roughly 100 hours of things that you could be better off doing anything else.
It very nearly made Ethan pay someone else to do it for him.
Genuinely. It's so fucking awful. Like, when will I ever learn to not, like... Honestly, speaking of, like, podcast, video... I put 80 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I platinumed Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I know what some people are thinking. That's pretty good going, platinum in Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 80 hours. It usually takes people 100 to 120. That's because I had a podcast and the map with everything fucking on it on one tab, and a video game here. And I literally, that's what I mean when I say it's doing your taxes. It is literally, go to the objective, grab the thing, go to the objective, complete the side quest, go to the objective, do whatever the fuck you need to do. It is so brain dead, and there's nothing of value. If you were to ask me what a single person's name in that video game is, other than Ivor and Basim, I would be like,
Odin.
No.
Got him.
Well, other than, like, I could name the gods, but that's the thing. I don't even remember what your brother's called. Sigurd, was it? He's the main character,
Sigurd?
Technically. Like, I don't, like... There's nothing actually substantial in that video game. There's, like, nothing actually... And it makes me laugh because it's like, you know, you go back to old Assassin's Creed, and yeah, it was very simplistic and it was very kind of pioneering when it came to open world game design, where it was like, very generic, but it was like, you know, do
Yeah,
little
like
bits and pieces.
you could
some
say that
feathers.
you could make and technically be right if you were to claim that Assassin's Creed 1 was a very bad open world game, but
Oh,
be
definitely.
reasonable.
But it was a
Be
prototype.
reasonable. It was
yeah.
more like a proof of concept
It
than
genuinely
it
was. It was a prototype of a Prince of Persia game that they spun off because it didn't fit
Yeah.
Prince of Persia anymore. And it's like, you can kind of forgive it, but it's like, you know, say what you want about Assassin's Creed. It had tailing missions for days and it was very but the actual stories of Assassin's Creed I always thought were quite good, especially for what they were trying, because a lot of open world games were extremely simplistic. But it's like Ezio's such a charming character, and I love the story of Ezio through
great.
through Revelations. I love Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, not only because it's just pirate fun times where you just shoot a load of people with pirate ships,
Drink up me
but
hearties.
but it's like, it's genuinely is a really like a moving story about Edward Kenway. He has a really tragic story, like most pirates do, and they actually go and tell it, and it's really well done. And then you get to this, and it's like, hi, Eivor's a Viking, and they're going to England because they've had enough of their dad. So off they go. They go and do the Viking thing, but Vikings weren't that bad guys. They were actually pretty cool guys. They didn't just go and pillage and do all that jazz. They pillaged and helped out everybody, guys. Come on, that's what they did. And then they conquered the whole of England, and then Templars, assassins, weird Isu shit. The end. Bow tie not done. Like, I genuinely can't tell you what happened. Like, genuinely, it's so fucking brain dead. It's garbage. Where it's like, if you like that kind of thing, good for you. I'm so fucking happy that you like. I'm so happy, but it's like, for so much fun, it just doesn't work for me. It's literally just sitting here, just waiting for my brain to die or the game to end. Which happens first? Let's find out. They're just not good.
It's the video game equivalent of the Orb of Confusion.
Dude, it's like
SpongeBob.
like I say, it literally is like doing your taxes. You feel like you're only doing it because you have to. You're not because you want to. It's because you can. And it's like, everything's a little shiny on the map, and it's like you got to get all the shinies, and then you get a big shine, and it's like, it's so dumb. It just, and as someone who suffers from those kind of like mental, like ADHD and stuff like that, it pisses me off because I am literally sitting here knowing that I'm doing this just because this game has been programmed in a way where they know that stupid people like me are going to do it because they can, and I hate it. I despise it for everything that it's fucking worth. Garbage video game. Like, really bad gameplay design. And if you want to play a game like that that's actually good, go play The Witcher 3, because that's what they're trying to be, and they've made 3 of these, and they're still not as good as The Witcher 3, and they're not even fucking close. So it's like, it just seems dumb. They're really bad. If I had to rank them, fucking Odyssey's the best, then fucking hell, then it's like it's like ranking 2 middle children, you know? It's like, you've got nothing.
Oh.
I'd probably put Valhalla above Origins just because Origins was a literal desert, but Origins at least ended in 50 hours. It's like a pro or a con, right? If you just did the story, Valhalla's better. If you're doing everything, Valhalla can go to fucking Helheim, not Valhalla, dude. Get in the bin. Hate it. Awful video game. Anyway,
Boy, oh
Kyle?
boy. I think it's finally time we can talk about this. Ghost of
I was gonna
Tsushima.
say all of them.
Oh,
Draws
that's
Mike
all
and
of
leave.
them.
All
Let
of
me.
them,
This
I'm
is
out,
this was
bye.
in my controversial picks, and this is how I framed it. I was like, this is too controversial for the thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like,
You
this
think
was
so?
like, I made the thumbnail early this week, and I was like, too controversial for the thumbnail. I don't want Ghost of Tsushima fans on my ass this week. I'm not in the mood for Ghost of Tsushima fans, guys. I just not in the mood.
What,
but I
all 10
kind of agree.
them?
All 10
There's
of
a lot of people who like the game. It's why it's so baffling.
It's not a death loop where we were in the right. We're technically in the wrong on this one. People do like Ghost of Tsushima. It just turns out we found 3 people who didn't and started a podcast 6 months before its release. So, you know, it is what it is. Go on, Cal. Why do you not like Ghost of Tsushima?
I think the thing about this world that I like the least, like the whole thing, it's super friggin' beautiful. I will never deny that. Ghost of Tsushima, astounding visual game. But the thing that gets me about its open world is that everything about it just feels like a checklist.
Oh yeah,
It
it's the
just feels
Ubisoft
like you're
checklist.
moving from you're just ticking off one box to the next.
It's the
Everything you
filing your
do just links
taxes,
into itself.
but it's
Like,
more like taxes because they don't tell you what you actually have to fucking include. It's like they don't have the
yeah.
steps, dude. Like, I think the thing that I hate about Ghost of Tsushima, and the more I think about Ghost of Tsushima, the more I go, I don't hate you per se, but I hate the way you're designed. Is it is an Assassin's Creed game, but they take the shinies off and then go, what mysteries are there for you to explore? And I'm like, well, the mysteries are a fox shrine, a viewpoint, and some other bits and pieces,
Cutting
like a couple of
bamboo.
fucking don't shit on the cutting bamboo. That was good. That was a good mini game. I liked that one. But like the fucking
Haiku.
haikus that always
Yeah.
sounded shit. I'm like, they were just like, stuff like that where it's like
Meditation rocks.
basically the five different forms of a quick time event were basically what they were. And it's like, I feel that in Ghost of Tsushima 2, whatever it's called, Ghost of whatever, right? Whatever
Tsushima.
prefecture in Japan they actually go to, right?
It's
I'm really
Tsushima again. There was a second invasion.
Do you really think they're just gonna go back to back?
I don't know. It makes sense.
I really hope they don't. I
There were
really hope they
two.
don't.
There were 2 Mongol invasions of Tsushima.
There was. I'm hoping that they might cover the bit in between beforehand. But no, I hope that they increase the variety because there really isn't much there.
Mhm.
And also, the wind was a stupid mechanic. Can we admit that now? Where it was like,
It was cute for the first couple of hours, but yeah.
it was dumb. It was dumb, right? I get it, it's
Mhm.
video gamey, but it's like, also, I like when I'm playing a game like Zelda and I get my binoculars out and I tap the A button. That stuff I kind of like, where you use the actual environment to figure stuff out. I like that. But
Yeah.
the thing I wasn't complaining about was, I really hate it when there's a big fucking beam that tells me where I've hit on my mini map. No, I like that because I like to know where I'm going. I don't like, let me swipe the fucking
Zelda did it
touchpad
in a good way
60,000
where you
times.
have to be looking at it through the binoculars to actually get it to show up. So it's like if you're actually looking for it, you'll be able to find it. But if you're not, then it won't like be an eyesore.
And even Elden Ring did something similar where at the grace sites it would always have like a little beam pointing you to the direction you're supposed to be going for progression.
Or other
It's-
spots that I remember seeing like little wispy stuff in
Yeah.
some directions.
Yeah, it's a very weird game to me because it's one of those ones where I wish I understood why people loved it so much. Because I have a friend that absolutely loved Ghost of Tsushima, and then I have another friend who absolutely hated it. So I'm like, I'm glad I'm not alone here. But it's like, it's one of those weird things where it's like, we have all these Sony first party games, and they're all very much turning into clones of each other, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Where the difference between them is God of War's
Setting.
God of War's semi-open world is actually just a pathway you go through for story, and then it becomes a world when you've explored it. Horizon is very much your generic kind of open world game to the best and worst extents. Ghost of Tsushima is trying to do this middle ground where it's like, ooh, but we're actually all about exploration, where it's like, no, you're just Horizon and you've taken the fucking points off my map. Like, that's what you're doing here. And if I beat the Mongol camps, you put question marks there anyway. Can we decide instead of doing a middle ground? It's very weird. It's just, I don't know. I liked the story, and I liked the way it looks is beautiful, and I love the story, and the performances were great. It's just this
Yeah.
middle ground of the actual between quests just didn't feel fucking good, like at
Mhm.
all. And I wish it did. Also, the world, sue me, they let snow, marsh, regular land, and I'm like, there's no variety here. Like, genuinely, like, other than the cherry blossoms and some really pretty like red trees, where I'm like, damn, that's very pretty. I was like, if you showed me a screenshot of Ghost of Tsushima, I could not tell you for the life of me where the fuck you are on that map, like, at all. There's no kind of variety, and I wish there was. That's why I hope that they go to an actual prefecture in Japan hunt to give us some variety, Come on.
Yeah, that would be nice, but I feel like I don't know, I feel like they're just gonna do the obvious answer.
I don't. I believe in Sucker Punch because even though they may have killed Infamous and they may have killed Sly Cooper, I believe that they will breathe some life into something again. Come on, Sucker Punch. You're my sleeper pick, to be honest, because I know for shit Naughty Dog ain't gonna do it, so please.
Yeah.
And Guerrilla's making another Horizon, so please. Someone.
This is it, Sucker Punch. Time to reboot Rocket Robot on Wheels.
Dude, you wanted your
favorite
PlayStation.
N64 game.
Everyone's like, "Where's your PlayStation Showcase predictions?" And it's just like, it's because we're so pessimistic about PlayStation Studios, to be honest.
Yeah.
Come on, Bloodborne 2. Am I right, guys? Where's my Bloodborne?
Oh, let's go.
It's gonna happen, guys. Huff that copium. It's gonna happen. If we huff more, it can only come true. Right. Anyway, Hunter.
Yes. Okay, so I think the next one I'm going to go with is Ghostwire Tokyo.
From Ghost to Ghost. Cool.
Yeah. Going Ghost. Yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo is, pretty. I finished the game, and a year later, the best thing I can say about it is now that it exists. I don't have a whole lot to say. And I think the open world was one of those things that was just really boring. Like, I tried a couple of their side quests and didn't do anything for me. I had to find and cleanse a bunch of those Torii gates to be able to move on with my life as far as the story went. So, again, semi-mandatory participation in that part. So not only is it boring, but I had to do some of it. There isn't a whole lot to do outside of so the problem with the side quests is a lot of them feel really samey in the sense that you're talking to a bunch of blue spirit things that never actually seem to have anything setting them apart except for their flavor text about how they died is a little different. But it's hard to identify any of that when they all look the same. If they had some kind of distinct, if they were to just have made some NPCs, this would have helped a little bit, So that's a problem. The enemies, there's 5 different enemy types, and I'm struggling to remember. There were the normal guys, and then there were the Carmen Sandiego raincoat monsters, and I really can't remember the other couple, so that's not great as far as enemy design either. So it just, in general, a bunch of very shoulder shruggy things all cobbled together in a nothing open world.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those games I put Forspoken into another camp of this one, where it's just you just look at these kinds of games and you're just I can't be fucking arsed. It's when Forspoken came out and everyone was same reactions were for Ghostwire Tokyo, where it was very much and I'm just no, you can't, send it back. I don't want to. You can't make me. I just sometimes I feel like people have cool ideas and then they go, and we'll stick it in an open world, and it's you just don't know.
Or they have cool ideas and they just don't develop it into the right thing.
Yeah, it's just
sometimes there's been linear games that are cool ideas that still should have been shorter, could have been more fleshed out in some cases,
Yeah. And it's just I don't want that. I don't want it to be. It doesn't need to be open world. If you had taken the open world out of this and made a more linear experience, you probably could have spent some more time actually polishing
honestly,
the stuff
I
that's
think
cool.
Ghostwire Tokyo is funny because I think that in a lot of ways that silly little visual novel mystery thing they had the 2 weeks before that I played, and I was it's kind of cool. I think if they would have taken the general idea of that, where it's paranormal hoopla popping up all over town, but it's not like DEFCON 4 and everyone had already been taken to the rapture had happened, I think that would have been more interesting, because then, it's you could have made everyone's soul is gonna get sucked away the end game of the potential threat and not what happens, because really that's not super interesting once you're out of the first 15 minutes.
I just, like I say, it's a very, I don't know, it's very, Ghostwire was always very disappointing, because also, last Bethesda game that will be on third party, and it was and that's what we get, and it's it was that and Deathloop, and it's looking back, I'm wow, what a midway to go. And those were the two that they paid for exclusivity for. I'm like,
That is
come on,
hilarious.
guys. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people always complain about Sony buying exclusivity. I'm like, I also agree. If you're gonna buy exclusivity, Sony, at least buy some good
Buy the
ones.
better
Like,
stuff.
yeah,
And then they went,
quality
and then
over
the next
quantity.
year, then they paid for exclusivity for Forspoken.
Like, that was
Right?
dumb, dude. Like, Square should have paid you for that one, dude. Bad
Yeah.
deal. Like, bad deal.
Did they also have exclusivity for Guardians of the Galaxy? Or
No.
am I misremembering?
They didn't.
Okay.
No. Which is a shame
Okay.
because that one's good, so they could have. Like, that's a good linear game, to be honest. That was a bit of a sleeper, so it is what it is, eh? It's fine. Controversial one from me. I only played
baby.
90 minutes of it.
Hell yeah.
Yet I wish it was 90 minutes that I got back, because when I first got an Xbox
Cheers.
Series X, I did dabble with that little release. Some may say it's only release, but they forget that Forza also exists. Halo Infinite is an awful open world video game, and I don't think people talk about this enough. I've played 3 Halo games, and Halo 1 I really fucking don't like. So spoilers for Halo Infinite, which was like a successor to the original, but you know, Halo 1 I really don't like. I think it's really, I don't know, it just isn't for me. I don't like how open the areas are. I don't like how it doesn't tell you what the fuck to go. Everything feels kind of boring. But you know, early game, you know, vast open spaces, but it's a very early made game, and it's launched for the Xbox. Brilliant, pioneer for its time. Great, move on, whatever. Tried Halo 2, liked it more, but in the same way that I never play a Call of Duty campaign, can't be bothered to play that, where I'm just very like, it's just very much like gun, bro, like kind of kill the aliens, fucker, and I'm like, nah, I can't be bothered. Halo Infinite. I heard so many positive reviews about the campaign for Halo Infinite, I was like, I'll try it. I've got this Xbox. I'm not gonna just play Forza. I'll try it. Yeah, it's just not very good, bro. It's like, it has all the faults of Halo 2000, like the Halo Combat Evolved, 20 years later and worse. And they thought that adding a grapple hook would solve
man.
all of these problems. And I'm like, bitch, just
It
cause
can only solve most of your problems. Not
just
everything.
cause people didn't go,
It
oh,
might
you know,
get you
I
into
love Just
Smash
Cause.
Bros.
Yeah. People don't just go, I love Just Cause 3 because it has a grapple hook. People say,
also had a
I like
wingsuit.
Just Cause 3 because it has a grapple hook and a wingsuit and explosives, and you can chain all of it in together with a parachute and do stupid shit and fly about for hours. That's why people like it. So adding a fucking grapple hook to this big Lego man who plays like a fucking Roblox character, how bulky he is, and it's like, it adds some fun gameplay and it adds some good height to the map and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you've just turned a linear shooter into this open world where it's like, there's fuck all to do. Like, it genuinely is just, there's a tower. Fucking storm the tower, shoot the fuckers, move on. And it's like, I just don't know if Halo fans, because I haven't played Halo 4 and 5, I don't know if those games were so fucking awful that everybody was just like, something mediocre, finally, a win for us as Halo fans. But it just,
the Sonic fan thing.
I just don't get it. Like, I genuinely it just didn't click with me, where I'm like, it's just very boring. And it's just, I don't care about Master Chief. I don't care about Cortana. I don't give a shit about this weird robot, human, weird sexual tension. I don't get it and I don't like it. Get it away from my screen, thank you. I just want to shoot people, and it's no Doom. It's no Doom. I'm like,
It never will be.
it never will be. I just don't get it. I don't get why it got so good reviews. I genuinely don't.
It's
So I
funny because I
uninstalled it
feel
after
like if
90
it was
minutes.
reviewed again, like now, it would get lower, and not only because of the campaign, or not only because of the hoopla around the fact that it's disappointing now for people, but also like they're not riding the high of the campaign being, I guess, competent this time.
It's nothing there. There's no substance. There's no reason for that game to be open world. It's genuinely like, the gunplay's solid, right? It's very solid. It's Halo. No need. It was like, it's a cool idea, but also not really, because Halo doesn't have anything in its gameplay that warrants it needing to be open world. You can do everything in a linear manner. I think being in having open spaces with like, you can tackle this any way you want. You gotta get to these 3 objectives, sort that out. Perfectly fine. Good use of open level design. But just that being it, and then it's just being like everything's so generic, everything's just grass or the same. You know what the Halo inside areas look like with the weird fucking like space kind of design where it's like everything's kind of stony metal looking, and it's just like everything is that or grass.
Some
Like
blue
that's
lights
all
that
it is.
take you up
Yeah.
to the next floor and
Yeah,
whatever.
that's all it is. And it's like, it just feels very archaic. And then I look back and I'm like, wait, no, this came out in 2021. It wasn't even a launch game because they missed launch. This came out in 2021. It's 2 years old. This isn't even speaking about the multiplayer. It's not very good. It just isn't good. I'm sorry, Halo fans. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Oh, God.
Next time for sure.
The fucking state of Xbox. Please, Starfield, be good for the love of God. Please.
He needs it.
I need to win. I need a reason to have bought that fucking console, dude. Anyway, Kyle.
So amidst the shiny new Zelda game coming out recently, I think it's important we take a look back at where the open world really started for the Zelda series. Not Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. Hyrule Field is fucking miserable in that game, dude. If you want to talk about big open areas with nothing to do, that's your ticket right there.
Yeah, I agree. It's just funny. I guess for whatever reason, that never really registered the same way as these other games do to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Hyrule Field's always been this stupid middle ground where it's like it's just kind of connecting all of the things together, but
Yeah.
nothing to do. And well, Twilight Princess, everything that isn't a dungeon is nothing to do.
I mean, we've talked about Zelda before, but I know that like people always like there's a very special place in people's hearts for Zelda, and everybody hates that people love Tears of the Kingdom because they think that they're never going to get their old 3D Zelda back, and you don't deserve old 3D Zelda back, by the way. You don't deserve it.
You wouldn't like the next one that came out anyway until another one came out.
You didn't like the last three
Yeah.
that came out. You just liked them when the next one came out, and you're like, you know what, that one wasn't as bad, so we'll take it. Beloved, we love Wind Waker now. Thank you. But you know that whole kind of game, in my opinion, that kind of whole gameplay loop of this kind of in Ocarina and Majora, it's very much kind of like almost room kind of based, kind of open layout, kind of figure out where you're going. It's not technically like a seamless open world, but it very much is like a whole layout kind of fixed with load of dungeons inside of it. And then Wind Waker being this fucking sea with nothing in it, and just like I love Wind Waker. It has a lot of charm, but also the sea fucking sucks. It's not like it's just it's a load screen that isn't a load screen. You know what I mean? Like in any other game, that's that's like the Assassin's Creed Animus running a video, like but an actual video game. There isn't much to it.
Yeah, Wind Waker's the Great Sea. It's pretty underwhelming, but I have a soft spot for sailing in video games. And also, I don't like Twilight Princess more than I don't like Wind Waker, so...
But it's like, I feel like people don't understand where it's like, people are like, there may be some middle ground between Breath of the Wild design and 3D Zelda design, but it was always going here. This was where they always wanted it to go.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is like the promise of the first game fully realized.
Breath of the Wild was ripping the Band-Aid off of the gameplay formula for the past 20 years. They were done. In recent interviews, Aonuma has very clearly said, we were bored of making those games. We're done making that kind of game. And I'm sure there'll be games in the future that are very much like it. There'll probably be other devs that do it in the same way that they've had the people making the 2D Zelda games. They'll probably have someone make a more classic 3D style game. And I'm sure there'll be a game in the future where you have more dungeon layouts and designs that are more akin to the older 3D Zelda design. Because the ones in Tears of the Kingdom are very much that's a dungeon, technically. You've got that, but it's not a Zelda dungeon, really. They are still closer to Divine Beasts than they are to anything resembling a actual Zelda dungeon, at least from the first one that I've played, guys. The first one that I've played was very much a very funny Divine Beast in disguise. It was much better than a Divine Beast, but it was still very much like, I see what you did there. You changed the walls, didn't you, you sly bastards? Still in a great way. And to be honest, I prefer that. I prefer shorter dungeons, to be honest. That's just my kind of thing. I prefer
I mean,
it.
as long as honestly, if they could keep like the thing about the dungeons in the old games was always that most of them had something cool about them that like they gave you some kind of sick moment to chew on, like just like Ocarina of Time, exploring the Shadow Temple in it of itself was fun because it's like an evil prison that has nothing to do with the bad guy. It's amazing. Majora's Mask, you flip Stone Tower upside down. That's really sweet.
Dude, Majora's Mask made a water temple fun.
Yeah.
That's a feat in and of itself.
I think the thing with Majora's though is this is the thing. Like, I know this is not talking about. Oh, we've gone back to Zelda again. God fucking damn it! But
we tricked you.
I think the thing. Yeah, I think the thing is with Zelda, right? Is to me the ones that have always had the kind of most personality and the ones that have always seemed the most interesting to me are Majora and Wind Waker. And the reason it was because it was like it very much was this dynamic of talking to characters, interacting, have that kind of world be in relation to the thing. Whereas like Ocarina and Skyward Sword, for the little bit I played it, yes, it has story and yes, it has this, but it very much is a on to the next thing, off you go, walk the thing. And the problem with Zelda up until Breath of the Wild was characters, story, charming as fuck, gameplay, dungeons, cool as hell, middle ground, what are we doing here? It was very much just point A to B, like, hope you like walking or sailing, Timmy. And it's like, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have nailed making the in-between those sections so much fun, to the point where I spent 45 hours fucking the rest of it
is
off.
The part that you'll be doing the most.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like getting back on topic with the Twilight Princess Hyrule Field, and to the same extent, the Oceans of Wind Waker in a way, it's there.
Even really Hyrule Field and Ocarina of Time, people just rolled through that or backwards ran or anything. You weren't actually looking around unless you knew a heart piece was there.
There's nothing substantial to it.
It all just serves for a middle ground from A to B.
It's to make you feel like you're progressing in some way, shape, or form, but there's nothing actually there other than nostalgia, you fuckers. Ocarina of Time is not that great. I'm sorry I said it. It is probably like an 8 out of 10 for its time. I'm sorry to break your hearts. It's pretty good. But, you know,
say it louder for the people in the back.
Guys, it's not that. It's just good, okay? It's just good. It's not great. There has definitely been better Zelda games since Ocarina of Time. I can tell you. I can promise you that much.
Yeah,
I can promise you.
It's called Majora's Mask. Came out 2 years later.
And Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, and Wind Waker. For as far as I'm aware, I finished Wind Waker, so that's an award. There you go. Heck. The fucking blasphemy. The Hunters completely rotted my brain. I enjoyed the story of fucking Skyward Sword for the 3 hours I played more than I did the story of Ocarina of Time. But that's not saying much. The gameplay was still boring as fuck, Hunter. You stand your ground, but you know what?
Nah. It's more than I usually get, so
story-wise,
we'll take it.
But no, I do agree that a lot of the open-ish kind of stylings of 3D Zelda was very, very boring. There was nothing to it. Do you want to fucking find where the 5 cuckoos are? Do you want to find them? Do you want to? No, I don't. Thank you, though. No, I'm good. Anyway, Zelda break over. Hunter, please get us back on track.
It's my turn. Okay, well, you mentioned the new Assassin's Creed earlier. I'm going to mention the one that made me bounce off of the series, Assassin's Creed 3's open world.
Very much bro.
It was very much at odds. Like its setting was at odds with what Assassin's Creed seemed to want you to do, seeing as how in colonial America you rarely had a building that went above 2 or 3 stories.
Yeah. Did you
so
like
climbing
trees?
buildings was not that
climbing.
impressive.
Yeah. They had to add tree climbing tech just to justify moving around, which I think is hilarious.
And I feel like that really didn't. I feel like even running around the trees all Tarzan style wasn't super gratifying either.
It's still janky to this day. Tree climbing in Assassin's Creed 10 years later is still janky as fuck. They never really worked it out. But I 100% agree. Fuck Assassin's Creed 3.
And like, this is. Yeah, I've probably mentioned on podcast before that. Yeah, this is how I realized I was done with the whole thing. Was Assassin's Creed 3 hypothetically, as it being a bit of a history nerd that I am, and also a game series that I liked up to that point, I should have really liked this game, and I didn't. So the whole shtick had gotten old. Its design was at odds with what it wanted you to be able to do, and I don't think the story was that good either.
And I think that's the problem with Assassin's Creed was, it was a misstep. Assassin's Creed 3 was definitely a misstep. And it's like, when it happened, everyone was like, oh no, is this it? And then Assassin's Creed 4 came out, and it was really good. And everyone was like, okay, it was a misstep, guys, it was a misstep. Then Unity came out. And the problem with Unity was it was a buggy fucking mess. But I like underneath it, I really like Unity underneath all of it. If you get the bugs out of the way, which never fully happened, but if you take it at what it was,
That never got fixed.
it got fixed as much as we had a next Assassin's Creed out a year later. Got like it's like it had
I
its
guess that's
time. It's
true.
like
Yeah,
cut the
okay.
fucking cord.
Yeah.
It's still not perfect, but it's like I like Paris as a city for Assassin's Creed. Perfect. The Revolution, brilliant setting for an Assassin's Creed game. I liked Arno. He was basically Ezio 2.0, but still a charming character. They had this whole idea of he was brought up by Templars, but his original dad before he died was an assassin, and his kind of love interest in the game was part of is one of the higher rankers of the Templars, because they both basically have been living this life without each other knowing. And it's like this really cool kind of interesting thing where they do what Assassin's Creed does best, which they've forgotten about recently, which is like, hey, Templars and Assassins are just two groups of people. The Templars aren't inherently evil all the time. And it's like they started doing this in the kind of middle ground. They started with 3 really, where they were like, hey, look, your dad's a Templar. He's a twat, but also he's got some reasons and all this jazz. And they started being a bit more kind of interesting with it, and then they stopped at like Origins. I wonder why I started hating again. They stopped that at Origins again. But it's like, Unity remove the bugs, and Rogue and Syndicate, all good games again. And it's like, it was just that one misstep, but man, did so many people drop off because of one fucking misstep. It was a huge misstep.
Well, like that's the thing. After the train had stopped, I guess the rest of it just wasn't interesting enough to warrant me getting back on, so to speak. As far as that went, I was like,
well, you end up a sucker like me who's played every mainline Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I've had my fill of that now. Now I'll wait for the witches.
Do you see, they're gonna disappoint me yet again? Like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm gonna play this new Assassin's Creed that comes out this year because they said it's going back to basics, and it won't be, and I'll be upset. YouTube.com/hotgamersonly, hotgamersonly on podcast. Subscribe. You'll hear it here first.
Yeah.
But it's like they keep coming up with like, okay, guys, they're for real this time. Feudal Japan and like Witch Trials are the next 2 mainline games after this, and we're like, oh, that's fucking sick. And it's like they'll fuck it up because it's Ubisoft.
Probably, but I'm willing to let them sell it to me this time.
For now, we dream on. We've got hope at least for a little bit. Okay. There was a time when superhero games were bad, and I can't think of one that is more infamously bad out of that is literally the game before Insomniac took over than the Amazing Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox. I don't know if you guys have ever seen how bad this fucking video game is, but spoiler alert.
I thought you were going to say Superman 64.
I mean, that's the infamous bad one.
No, that's...
I'm like, ain't no way Ethan's bringing up an N64 game right now.
No, bro. They're all bad. They all deserve to be in a bad list somewhere, dude. But no, Amazing Spider-Man 2, if you haven't seen it, go look it up now as we're talking. It is awful. It's like a really bad video game. It's not just like the webs don't do shit, but it was like the gameplay was awful. Just everything about it, the voice acting terrible, and they had this police system where a lot of games have the police are after Spider-Man. He's on the run. Police don't like Spider-Man, and so they had these like side objectives where it's like you have to save a civilian or do this thing to like keep you in the positive. And if you didn't do it, you just fucking get like you had to keep doing them throughout the entire game, or else the game would punish you for not doing the side content, and then the police would come after you and shit. Like, it was really bad. Like, yeah.
Real dumb.
Yeah. It's like, it was fucking awful. It just wasn't good. And it was just like, I just love it. You look at it was generally met with mixed reviews. I don't think that's the word for it, Wikipedia. I think the reviews were shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just
But-
watching the launch trailer for it right now. This doesn't look fun.
No, it's not.
Weapons in the
Well,
game.
I
Apparently,
do
this game was
think
made by Beanox also, so that's
It
neat.
was.
I
Unlucky
do think
Beanox.
that I vaguely remember my friend having, or maybe I don't know. The 2 implies there was an Amazing Spider-Man 1 before.
There
it,
was.
but-
I played the Amazing Spider-Man one. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't
Ah.
terrible.
Well, I think my friend had one of them, and I remember looking at it and being like, not impressed. Superhero games that aren't Batman aren't good yet.
Someone gave it a 2 out of 10, saying it's like a part of me has died. That's the review quote. So there you go. Someone else gave it a 6 out of 10, saying this was funny. Remember, this game came out in 2014, roughly 4
Jeez.
years before Insomniac took over and released the best Spider-Man game ever made. I've accepted that there's probably never going to be a truly great Spider-Man game. And there you go. That
Aw.
was 2014. A different life we live. But no, it was fucking horrendous, dude. Like, it was awful. Just nothing good about it. Like, the combat was shallow. It's just the generic, there's so many bad open world games, but like that's just like the pinnacle where it's like the film was terrible, but the fucking game was also bad as well for completely different reasons. It's just like, oh, fucking bad game. Remember when they used to be just bad licensed games? Because they were all bad. That's the thing. They were all bad back in the day.
Well, back in the day, they were all not good.
Or they were like hilariously bad. Now they're just
yeah.
meh bad.
And it carried
You
on
get
the
a game-
Beanox tradition of looking terrible on the hardware that it was made for. Good old Beanox. At least they glowed up for CTR, dude, because fuck me. I remember when CTR was announced and I was like, oh, it's by the developers of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the PS3 port of Black Ops 3. Fucking good lord, please save us.
I remember at some point after Crash Team Racing came out, you showed us a cutscene from the PS3,
The PS3 version of Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
one of
he
the
was like
worst
holding a
ports of all time.
spherical object and like his hand was nowhere near.
Yeah, and it was just like,
actually touching it.
Oh,
yeah. And their
I
eyes were
remember
pitch
that.
black. There were no pupils or anything. Just like black dots out of the eyes. That game's so good. I bought it for PS3 as a meme for like £2 on eBay. I put the disc in. I can't boot it. The game will never let me run it. It just doesn't work.
Oh my god.
It's like, we can't let you do this to yourself.
It's
It's
like
against the
patch, yeah.
Geneva
It's
Convention.
like, it's like the patch just
I got
stops
you,
the game
bro.
from working. I'm like, damn, bro, that's tragic. But yeah, awful video game. Not a fan of it. Don't play it. Kyle, do you have any more that you hate?
I've got one final one,
Go on then. What have you got?
and I'm sorry to you guys. It's Horizon
Nah.
Zero
Damn,
Dawn.
how dare you, bro? How dare
Yeah,
you?
how dare I talk about this game I don't like again?
Yeah, dude. How dare you? So what's bad about the open world in Horizon then, you little shit?
I think it's
waiting.
just too.
Mad cuz bad.
Mad
No, I
cuz
think
bad, bro. Mad cuz bad. Mad cuz bad.
Look at what you did, Hunter. You set Ethan off. Look at him cackle.
Literally
man.
cackling.
He
in the
knows what he did.
background. Yeah, he knows what he did. Anyway, go
Oh,
on. Why do you hate
no.
Horizon?
I think the thing that really just kind of put me off wanting to keep playing it is that it's all just too mechanically heavy. So
Mm.
yeah, kind of mad cuz bad. Hunter's not technically wrong there, but
When
I
I'm
don't know,
right,
it's
I'm
like-
right.
it's just such video game mechanics, you know? Like, oh, you can only hide in the special red hiding grass, or you can only climb the special yellow
Well, she is
painted
ginger,
wall.
to be fair. Like, if,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
a ginger
Hard
person
to
hid in regular
camouflage her.
grass, Kyle, what the fuck do you think's gonna happen? You can
Yeah.
spot a redhead from a mile
And she's
away.
always vaguely sunburnt in the face, so it still
Yeah.
does
She's
blend in.
pale as fuck.
Oh,
It's like me
oh,
hiding
silly
in the
me.
grass. You're gonna see my ass easily, dude. Like,
Eh.
no contest. But again, I think it is just like
It's
Here's
just
the-
such video game stuff, you know?
it is.
I do distinctly remember a month after playing, because I got to Zero Dawn like a month after playing Breath of the Wild exactly.
It was the game I
I
played
definitely-
after Breath of the Wild.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
The ability to climb everything in Breath of the Wild definitely took me a minute to unlearn from
Yeah.
Horizon, where I was like, oh, I can't do that anymore. Oh, I go down and I can't go back up that easily anymore. But I still, for the most part, thought, you know.
I
was
think the
fine.
thing about Horizon is the dinosaurs are cool and I
That's
like
true.
the gameplay. I don't ever think of the open world at all when I think about Horizon. And the same, for the most part, I think it's something that they rectified a bit in Forbidden West, where they actually gave areas more personality and more interesting
Yeah,
things
yeah, for
about
sure.
them.
Like I can think about Plain Song and remember as I was approaching it after fixing their guardian dinosaur things, whatever those were, the little rhinoceros
Yeah, yeah.
triceratops things, after fixing those and doing all the other Plain Song stuff, like there was some kind of singing going on. I'm like, oh, that's cool. The corruption's
It's like
gone.
in
I love that.
it's like in Tears of the Kingdom when you've done a side quest. There's like a little band that will follow you around all the
Oh, I
little.
keep hearing things about this band and meeting other players in this band, and I'm like, what do I do to help you?
I don't want. Well, how do you do it? Who knows? Maybe you have to actually go towards.
I
the
think
fucking...
I've got, yeah, I think I've got the idea of what to do. I just haven't gotten to do it yet.
Mm-hmm. When I said I nearly went to the story and then got sidetracked. That's what I did. So I'm gonna have to go
Cool, I'm
towards some
right.
story.
You made a mariachi band.
Yeah, dude. I went and joined a newspaper and then started a mariachi band. Basically, that's what happened. That's all I can say. But no,
What a
it's very
video
dumb.
game.
For some reason, you have to talk to the fucking newspaper people before a load of side quests show up. For some reason,
Yeah.
because Tears of the Kingdom's great. It's great, good stuff. But you know, it is stuff like that where it's like, you know, Las Vegas is very unique in Forbidden West with all the,
Oh,
especially once
super
you've
cool.
lit it up, so it's like a neon light show and everything like that. Or, you know, the frozen area in Forbidden West, where it's like the big wall, like the dam and all of that stuff, where it's like there's all like really interesting stuff. Whereas it's like in
Oh,
the
yeah,
original, all you have
bulwark.
really is Meridian, and that's
Meridian, yeah.
about it. Like the Frozen Wilds is just a snow area, like your generic
Yeah,
snow
it's just
area,
a snow
in the same
area.
way as the Burning Shores or your generic sea area in a video game. You know, I think Burning Shores kind of took a step back in a weird way, where it was very generic, even though it was LA. But you
Trust
know,
us, guys, it's got the Hollywood sign.
yeah, trust us, guys. It's got the Hollywood sign and the Chinese theater. Look, we'll drop you right next to it, so you know that you're in LA. That's the worst part of the map on the Burning Shores is the worst part. The rest of it's great. But yeah, I think the original map does lack kind of unique identifiers. I think they were just very much rolling with the look, guys. Look at the skyscrapers that are all green because the world's taken over, and we're like, hey, we saw half of this in The Last of Us. We saw the start of what was happening here. I like Horizon, but yeah, the open world's a bit hit and miss for sure. Hunter, is it your turn? Do you have one more?
Yeah, sure. Shadows of Mordor.
Ooh.
I didn't play a whole lot of this game. Honestly, my experience with it is pretty piecemeal, but I feel like that speaks to I played enough of it. I played several hours of it, but I never felt compelled to actually play the game because it's super generic and stupid with one cool system on top of it that I wish more games ripped off. Hey, Nemesis system.
I never gotten it. Is there like anonymous like kind of confessions here? I never got the Nemesis system. Like I played about 5 hours of Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor, and then I stopped playing because I was bored. And people always talk about the Nemesis system and like how it's really cool, and I was like, calm down, guys. It's not that cool. I still didn't want to play it. Like it didn't make me love
a couple
of
hours that I did
Middle
play
Earth
of
game.
this game was all motivated by just I don't know, picked up my friend's file of the game for a little bit and basically crossed all the monsters on that list of nemesis off, getting killed a couple of times on the way, so then like thus creating more nemesis people, I guess, because they get promoted when they kill you and stuff. And you know, inside of this game that is boring and generic, not great. But you know, if Tears of the Kingdom had this and suddenly a Bokoblin kills me and got promoted to a boss Bokoblin, you know, and I encounter him later and he does some kind of insulting interpretive dance at me, that'd be sick. I would love that. But inside of Shadow of Mordor, where you know its combat is like this stupid mix of Assassin's Creed and Batman.
It's true. That is a great interpretation of it.
Yeah, so it's like this isn't doing anything for me, you know. And then like the story is Lord of the Rings, which is typical fantasy as far as my own detection, I can't remember that much from the movies, but I'm sure that the stuff for this game is even lower rent
I mean, the
than
thing
that.
about Lord of the Rings is like I haven't watched it since I was a kid. I didn't particularly like it, but I liked the characters and I liked the journey they went on. Right, that's the thing about
Yeah,
Lord of the
yeah.
Rings. Like I like it so much that I know all the names of Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Frodo,
Yeah,
Samwise, and
Sam.
like it's like I know the main characters. You can tell that means that I must like it in some way because I remember the
Because
characters'
you
names.
never remember characters. I could not. I don't care about Nolan North here. I think
Merry and
that's who
Pippin,
plays
dude,
the-
I can roll them all off. I can just fucking go Gandalf, dude. What a fucking call that one. But no, the thing I'm trying to say is the thing with Middle Earth is I've never been someone that cares about the world of Middle Earth, really. I like the story and I like the characters. And then every time there's a game that's about the Lord of the Rings or the Middle Earth, it's always got nothing to fucking do with any of those characters except maybe Gollum. What's everyone's fucking... Why is everyone fixed on Gollum? Like, every time there's a video game involved, like Shadow of Mordor, Gollum's in it. This Lord of the Rings game that's coming out in a couple of months, Gollum. It's like, why
It's
does
about
everything
Gollum.
revolve around him? Yeah. Why not any of the other characters, Like, the only game I remember is the PS2 Hobbit game. That's the only thing I can think of.
Honestly,
that's
considering
actually
how
based
like
on actual Lord of the
how
Rings.
silly good at things Legolas was in those movies, you'd think he would have got his own video game at some point. Where
I'm
it's
not.
just
I'm like. I know you had the
the
film
Lord of the Rings
adaptations.
equivalent of Horizon, where he's just taking down like mammoths and stuff with his bow and arrow.
Dude, I don't understand why we've not had it. Where it's like, we had the video game adaptations where it was like they did the movie like tie-in games for the Lord of the Rings. I have not understood, especially maybe now I do understand because obviously Amazon has all the rights and stuff like that. But before, when it was kind of a dark area between like the end of like the Return of the King, even the Hobbit, because no one really gave a shit about the Hobbit that much. But it's like there was that kind of grey area where Mordor sat in, where it was like nothing was really happening with the IP that much other than the movies. I'm still surprised no one ever was like, why don't we just try and adapt these stories into video game form and just do like a proper like in the same way that Witcher was trying to do like the Witch like taking place in that universe and stuff like that in that kind of way. I'm just very surprised no one ever even attempted to do that. It just seems
because
bizarre to
it's
me.
like, first of all, the movies, if that was going to be the main source you were pulling from, are like 1,000,000 years long. So
Yep.
you got a lot of stuff to pull from there, and then it
Same
came
with the
from a
books.
book
Yep.
that you could pull a lot of things from to add to your
And Tolkien wrote
game.
a load of lore about that world
Yeah.
that you could very
Yeah.
much pull in. And hey, even if you like The Witcher, you didn't want to take directly from it, they could have done what they did with The Witcher, which was, hey, we're going to take Geralt and we're going to set our games after all the books and tell a completely different story about him. They could have very easily have told a story of what happened to some of these characters afterwards and do it like that, or relate it in some other way. Not do these weird things that Star Wars likes to do, where let's set it in the no man's land where we don't know where where no one we fucking care about is here. And it's like, yeah, you get some cool characters like Ahsoka or whatever, or Cal Kestis, but now it's like you've got 3 people. And now you know that the only reason they've made Cal Kestis and Ahsoka is so that they can now drag them into other things and go, look, guys, it's Ahsoka. And Cal
It's the cool
Kestis is coming.
character.
You know he's going to show up in
this,
something.
this is why they had to get like an actual like notable actor to be Cal too, because they're like
That's
going to be in the movie
100% why
eventually.
Cameron is
Or a
playing Cal,
show.
is so eventually
Yeah.
he can show up in live action. And it's like,
Oh, I kind of don't want him to though.
but he
This is
will.
not to say, because like I like Cal, honestly, probably my favorite Jedi as far as dividing it between Jedi and like the dark side people. I think
Sith
he's probably the
is
best one.
As the professionals call it.
Yeah, Sith. Okay, yeah, but that technically isn't true because Darth Maul quits being a Sith, but he's also still a dark side user who fights with a lightsaber. So
We'll go with the Sith.
anyway,
I'm a Star
Like-
Wars normie. They're the Sith.
I'm a Star
Anyway.
Wars normie. I've only seen the sequels. I'm Sith.
I've seen like 3 movies and none of them
I've
were
seen
in
the sequels of The
succession.
Phantom Menace, guys. I've seen the best
my
ones.
God. But anyway, my point is, between all of those, Cal's like my favorite Jedi, and I like his story a lot, and that's why I don't want him to be thrown into this other stuff. It'll
True.
drag him down.
But no, yeah, Mordor is fucking boring. I dropped off Mordor like a fucking
Shadow
like-
of Mordor.
Yeah, they got it. And then I was like, Shadow of War is just it is also
Shadow
like
of
Shadow of War. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just couldn't get into either of them. And then when War came out, I was like, maybe I'll catch up. And then it got all the controversy because of the microtransactions and shit for Shadow of War when that came out. So I was like, guess I'm never
I struggle
catching
to
up.
comprehend how you can. What is there to nickel and dime you about that game? What stupid
I think
decision did they
it's
make?
to do with the Nemesis system, I believe.
Oh, you take the best thing about the only good thing about the other game, and you go and make it pay.
And I think it was like a
paid?
massive grind to do it, and you could pay your way through it.
That is
So it
stupid.
was like, it was the Ubisoft. Oh, did I mention that? I didn't mention that with Assassin's Creed. Fuck you, double
that
XP
you
or
can
whatever,
buy
pay
XP.
for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck you. Doing your taxes, dude. Like, that's like buying an accountant. It's like, do you want your accountant with you, bro, to help you through this? Fuck you, Ubisoft.
Oh
God
yeah, it
damn
is like paying. It is paying the extra person to do it for
Yeah,
you.
it is.
There you go.
It's fucking stupid. I also want to give a shout out before I talk about my final one. There were more Ubisoft shitheads on the list. Watch Dogs Legion. Fuck you, Watch Dogs Legion. Boring ass video game. Far Cry.
Gods and
Fucking
monsters.
hell. Same
Far
shit,
Cry, I
different coat of
think- I
paint.
think Far Cry popped into my head, but I forgot it by the time we were talking about
Here's
it.
the
where I was
thing,
gonna, like,
it was a good
everything-
idea for Far Cry 3, then for Far Cry 4, Blood Dragon and 3, cool, fine with that. Far Cry 4, fine, it was the jump to
See,
next
that's
gen.
the thing with Far
Troy
Cry
Bacon's
3
fine.
too that I don't even really remember. It was like I don't remember if the actual do I just like Voss or
Yes.
was the actual game actually kind of good? I don't remember.
Because every time someone says to me, Ethan, can you say one thing you like about Far Cry 3? And I'll go, Voss is pretty cool. And then someone can go, hey, Ethan, can you tell me something that you like about Far Cry 4? And I can go, Pagan Min was pretty cool. And then they can go, hey, Ethan, can you say what you like about Far Cry 5? And I can go, Joseph C was pretty cool. And then this is what you do, is you just go, villain was a pretty good villain. And that's all that Far Cry rides off of. And that's why Far Cry 6 did bad, because apparently the villain wasn't that great. So it was like, it's just like, it's a 2011 open world design, still alive in 2022. And like when Far Cry was 6 last year, was that 2022? Or was it 2021? Whenever 6 came out.
It was 2021. I had it in my fantasy draft.
Oh, there you go. Then. It was 2021.
I
But
think
same
Galaga
shit,
79.
same coat of paint for like the
It's
decade.
too much.
And it's just, it wasn't that interesting in the first place. And then you're now doing it
No.
again and again and again. And I'll say it
77.
once. I'll say it again. I'll preach it to the fuckers in the back. Open worlds in first person are fucking worse than open worlds in third person because it feels more tedious in first person. Like me walking, like I love Skyrim. I love Skyrim with all my heart. As soon as I have walked somewhere once and I have the fast travel unlocked, I'm fast traveling. I'm fucking dip diving. Same with Zelda, to be honest. As soon as I have somewhere, I'm
Yep.
zip, 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 zip. Like, got the rewind feature in Tears of the Kingdom where you can look on the pad and you can see where you've been. And the amount of time,
Oh, nice.
it gets like first 10 hours is like load of walking. Then as soon as 10 hours starts, zip, 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 like, just off I go on my little holiday. It's like, fucking thank God for fast travel, because like I say, some open worlds,
Honestly.
tedious as fuck. But yeah, first person's way worse. I love Skyrim too much to even pretend that it's bad, but also first person walking. As soon as I'm traveling, stick myself in third person just because it feels so much worse.
Skyrim's
Begrudgingly
like the anti.
walking. Yeah, you're like, it's like Minecraft. Yeah, it's like Minecraft Steve walking through a fucking open world. No, I'm good. Thank you. It's very dumb. Anyway, did I have another one? Oh, Kingdom Come Deliverance, bro. Like, I have a friend that loves that
Oh.
game. Fuck that. When games go,
I
like,
never
when open
played
world
that.
games go, hey, you need to eat and drink or else you die. When it's pitch black, it
Oh.
literally is pitch black. I don't care if you like to role play and you think you're having fun. Fuck off. No, bad. Don't enjoy. I watch my friend play this game and he's like, it's like one of his favorite games of all time. And you're just like, I felt like I was just like the supportive girlfriend. Where I'm just like, good for you, like, good for you, good job. This is the supportive partner. I'm just like, I have no clue what's going on here, but I'm happy you're enjoying it because this looks dull as shit. Like, have fun. It was.
I
not
remember
great.
I never saw much more than just like a little bit of promotional stuff for that game. I'm like, oh, kind of medieval sort of game there. Neat. I think it was on the table for something for my brother and I to play at some point, but we never pulled the trigger, thankfully, because it doesn't look that good.
The voice acting is terrible, and also my favorite thing, I ruined it for him, is that when you fast travel, you have to watch like like an old battle map of like a piece, like a figure piece
Oh,
on it.
yeah.
That like you have to watch like a figure piece move along like a line like forever, like as if it's like punish you for fast traveling. You will slow travel. You will watch this
Yeah.
figure go down the roads, and as it jitters, like it frame stutters. And as soon as I noticed, my friend has played this game for like 300 hours and never noticed it. As soon as I noticed it, I ruined it for him. I was like, yes, we got it, boys, we got it.
Nice.
It's like, but anyway, I just hate when games go overly realistic. Realism isn't fun. Make it an option at least. Don't make me sit there in the
Yeah.
fucking pitch black going, oh, well, guess I'm fucked. Guess I'll bend over and die. Like, no, I'm good. Thank you. My final one is it makes me feel sad. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is
Oh,
the
yeah.
definition of why did you make a game that was great, linear, open world, because you took all the personality out of it. Because there's some great stuff in Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I've talked about it before. When the game goes linear, it's really fucking good. It's a shame that that's like 2% of the game. The last level has, again, game has a grappling hook, because of course it fucking does.
Sick.
But the end of the game is you with a grappling hook climbing up a skyscraper, and it's fucking sick. Like, because obviously Mirror's Edge, there's like glass everywhere. It's all white. There's like trees. There's like gardens on the skyscraper. It's fucking sick. Beautiful level. I love it. It almost made me forget how boring the rest of the video game was. I was like, great final level. But yeah, it's just like the thing about Mirror's Edge was it was like perfectly crafted levels where it was like they were built to be played again and again and again and replay and get better and be fast and chain stuff into it. And then this game was just like, here's a load of buildings that look like buildings that were in the first game, and they're all together. And the amount of times where I was like, okay, my objective's over there, over that building, but there was a big fucking highway between me, so then I had to go, right, well, time to run around and find where the gap is so I can jump through and make it. And it's just so dull, like genuinely. Like, Mirror's Edge is such a shame because it's such a good concept and it's such a great game, but it's been made by EA and it was made by DICE, who make Battlefield. They're never making another one ever again. They let them try again. They were like, we'll promise, if we make another one, we promise we'll be open world. And they were like, money. And no, it didn't work. But, yeah. Also, more combat in that game. Who the fuck likes combat in Mirror's Edge? Like, genuinely.
There's
like,
combat in Mirror's Edge.
Oh, don't get me started.
Oh,
It's
the
the worst part.
platforming game.
It's the worst part
I
of the...
also thought it was a platforming game.
No, there's like hand-to-hand combat, and you can also
What?
disarm people, and you can take the gun if you want and shoot people, because of course you can, but it doesn't feel right, and it never did. There's also trophies and achievements in the original game for going through the entire game without killing anybody or like doing combat. So I'm like, yeah, they didn't want it. This must have just been a checkbox. And it's worse in the open world one because there are like areas you need to defend. There's like towers that you have to keep like charged for a certain amount of time. You know, like your typical like capture point objectives, like stuff like that. And it's like fucking yeah. It's like you hit the tower and it's like quickly people are coming all at you. Make sure you fight them. And it's like fucking leave me alone.
Man. Yeah. Not the enemy camps.
Yeah, basically enemy camps.
I hate enemy camps.
Yeah. It's just it was very much a disappointment. But hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Anyway, I guess that's it. It's an hour and 14. We're done. That's it. That is our show, everybody. So as for Overwatch 2, man, that game can go fuck it. If you skip to the end, just know I'm very disappointed.
Honestly, it's real stupid that.
But guys, you're still getting the story mode. It's just going to come out like a mission every 3 seasons, and it'll take 6 fucking years, guys. Buy the battle pass, please. No.
Never.
Fuck off.
No. I would have played your stupid game if you would have made a campaign for me to play, because admittedly the world is cool.
It just sucks because you know that this was Activision's. You know this was Activision's doing. You know this wasn't the actual team's doing. You know this was we're cutting funds. The battle pass sells. This PvE won't get out. Make more skins. Stupid.
But I'm not gonna play your stupid team-based hoopla because I hate everybody and I'm a horrible teammate.
See, it just sucks to know and it all makes so much sense now. Like, it's like looking back at Jeff Kaplan leaving and all that jazz. Looking at the timeline, it seems that Jeff Kaplan left when they started to reel them in, saying, no, you're not doing that anymore, and stuff like that. And it's just like, it just makes sense that everybody fucking hates Team 4 at Blizzard is fucked. They wanted to make a first-person shooter that was an MMO. That was the original pitch for what they were working on. Project Titan, cancelled. Had to turn it into Overwatch. The secret plan was to make Overwatch into this universe where they could then go and make that MMO someday because they really wanted to still make it. Nah, fuck off, get in the bin. Scrap it. Everyone leaves. PvE gets cancelled. Good job, Blizzard.
Do you think that they eventually drop the 2 from the thing?
No,
Like,
I
they
think
just
they're
try
going to
to
do a
pretend like
Destiny where
2
I
is
sit there and go,
gone?
why is Destiny 2 still called Destiny 2? It should just be called Destiny. Because they're never going to make a Destiny 3. So
Yeah.
just rename it Destiny. In the same way that Fall Guys used to have a tagline like
The
Ultimate
new Fall
Knockout or
Guys,
whatever.
yeah.
And I was like, just drop it. Just call it Fall Guys. And they eventually did, which was good. They never fixed the trophies, but they changed the name. So good job, Mediatonic. But yeah, I think Overwatch will always be called Overwatch 2 now, and I think it'll just always
that's
have that
right.
kind of bad omen
Is
on it
it-
where it's
I
like,
thought it wouldn't shock me if it was like, because they just love making stupid decisions, like drop the 2 from it like a year from now, and then like 3 years from now be like, oh, here comes Overwatch 2, guys. And like, I don't know, you're probably just still making people scratch their head going, what's the point?
there
Or
is
whatever.
no point.
Yeah,
There's no
whatever insubstantial nonsense they'd want to justify making it a new game for again, but you know.
I think there's a chance that they will, but it'll be like a year from now, if then. Maybe if they are doing the story mode, when that story mode wraps up, maybe. Who knows? I feel like they're going to try and milk it for as much as they can, this story mode. I think they're going
Of
to be like,
course
hey
they
guys,
will.
look, we still made an Overwatch 2. Look, we made the story. And I'm like, that's great and all. But you also promised this Diablo kind of like always kind of progressing PvE game that's never going to happen. Thanks for that, Blizzard. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I'm also not stupid, so I'm not going to sit here and cope. It's dead. Move on.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't even know what the fuck you'd do. I'd say, hey, maybe at least Xbox getting a hold of Blizzard might fucking sort it. But with how hands off Activision, how hands off they've been with Bethesda,
Yeah.
I doubt it. They seem to like to not do anything when it comes to managing teams, which works in pro and con, pro, Double Fine, con, whatever the
Redfall.
fuck Redfall is. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to me. But oh well. At least I don't have to worry about actually caring about Overwatch, though. Now I can just sit there and play it with friends every 2 to 3 months and go, wow, this is shit, and then close it down again. It's good. It's fine.
Yeah. Sick.
The hope's dead, guys. The hope's dead. Anyway, that's our show. Next week, PlayStation has a big showcase. Will it suck? Let's find out.
Speaking of hope being dead,
No, right. I don't want to say this. You should be excited for the PlayStation Showcase because this is the first PlayStation Showcase since
This is the
September
first
of
one they've had
2021.
yeah, it's been
And PlayStation
for a while.
Showcases are huge. The last one was where these little games called God of War Ragnarok and Final Fantasy 16 were announced. So,
yeah.
just small little baby games that no one ever heard
There
of.
will be good stuff here. It's also like there's probably gonna be 15
over an
minutes
hour.
of over
Nothing.
an hour. There's gonna be 15 minutes of them telling me about the Last of Us multiplayer game, and I'm gonna sit here leaning back in my chair as far as this chair will go back as my soul leaves my body.
Do you know, I have a prediction. I think it's just going to be trailers. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to do a check the blog.
I sure hope so.
Check the blog. No one gives, check the blog. That was what they do. I think the only one that they're actually going to go in depth on is Spider-Man. Because now's the
And
time. I think
I
they'll
would
be like,
accept that. Yes.
it's coming in September, guys, so here we go. It's Spider-Man time.
It's just like lately, showcases stuff that goes for an hour. I know that there's going to be parts of that hour that do not hit for me, and it would be just like Naughty Dog to just have 15 minutes of something I don't care about take up time here.
You see, here's the thing, right, is I'm kind of scared now. Because it's E3 season, we're getting there. Like, E3's dead, but it's that season. Like, as soon as I start hearing, rumblings of what's at people's shows are starting to happen, and it's like, oh god, this is actually happening again. Miserable time of year. Like,
Yeah.
As soon as someone was like P3 remake, and I'm like,
Oh my
God, not only do we have to think about that, but I'm like, third-party games aren't like, other than like, there's a couple of examples like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, but it's like most third-party games are announce and release in a year. So it's like, if people are saying P3 remake, I'm like, oh God, we gotta think about shoving that somewhere in the next 12 to 18 months. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, like, it's stuff like that. I'm just, any like, I don't know, pray almighty Hail Marys before we go. Anyone got a Hail Mary that they want to happen that won't?
Sly Cooper remakes.
Go fucking good luck with that one. That is a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
dude.
I know.
At this stage, it's
That's all
funny
I can
to say,
think,
but
dude.
because the overwhelming rumor seems to be that Metal Gear Solid 3 is the one that's going to be announced, I would really like it more if they announced the first game as being remade instead, because that makes more sense.
Here's my hope. Right, I've got a couple, right? I'll probably write an article about this or something, but here's my hope. One is I hope that Blue Point is, if they are working on if they are working on on an old IP, it better fucking be Bloodborne, or Ethan's gonna be fucking pissed. And if it's not Bloodborne, I hope they're doing something entirely new, and I hope to fucking God it is not an open world third person action story RPG like video game, because Ethan's gonna be
With
fucking
crafting and
angry.
collectibles. Don't forget the crafting and collectibles.
Yeah, please, for the love of God. My more realistic one is, please show us what Team Asobi's doing, and please
That would be
let
nice.
it be a full Astro game, and please don't make it attached to VR, because I don't want to buy a PSVR 2.
You think we see Cory Barlog's secret project?
No,
No?
it's too early.
All right.
I think if you see anything...
I mean, I'm thinking like Metroid Prime 4 levels
Oh,
of
fuck
seeing
no.
it there.
Oh, maybe
like
if they
a
really feel
logo.
like they need to. My guess is if you see big ones, Last of Us Factions, you'll see it. Whatever it's called. You will see Spider-Man 2.
cares?
You will get a release date for Spider-Man 2. If the release date is not on the trailer, it will be on the PlayStation blog within half an hour. Don't you worry about that. I think
It will probably be September.
I think if you've got any chance of seeing... Here's my thing. I think if you've got any chance of seeing anybody's like 30-second like God of War drawing blue logo JPEG like GIF thing, Bend is who I think you'll see. I think you'll see what Sony Bend's working on. Would be my guess. I also think if you've got a chance of seeing someone reveal something that's more than a logo, it'll be Sucker Punch. That's my other guess, because it seems about time. It's been 3 years. It seems about time for them to at least announce that something's coming by 2025. Knowing Sucker Punch.
After they've been methodically killing the dreams of people who like their other games. So
I also
you better at least satisfy the people who like your silly samurai game.
In terms of third party, I've got no clue, which I'm very excited for. I think you'll see Final Fantasy 16. Unfortunately, I think we've seen too much.
We've seen enough of that game.
Or here's my Hail Mary. We see Final Fantasy 7, whatever the fuck it's called, forgot, Reunion. What was it called? Fucking Rebirth. Whatever the fuck it's called. Something.
Because Reunion was the Crisis Core one.
That's what I'm getting confused with, yeah. But no, I think we'll see Rebirth. I definitely think we'll see Rebirth, because I think they want to confirm that it's coming within the next 12 months. Like, they go, okay, guys, we're serious. I don't think you'll see actually I think if you see 16, it'll be like a 30-second thing, and then them go, the demo's available. Not today, but within like a week, and I think that's.
I sure hope so. If they have another trailer for that game, they need to stop, because it's becoming a much more ridiculous version of Deathloop at this stage.
I also think that, bless him, I also think that, as fucking tragic as it is, I feel like if we all believe, which I think we do, that Kingdom Hearts might show up at Jeff Keighley's tragedy, I think they want to get Final Fantasy out of the way with Sony, because they have the unfortunate exclusivity. So I think that they kind of want to get that out of the way, so that then they can go, hey, look, guys, Sora still exists. Look at this shitty 8080 that we made. Do you guys like... Here's Cal Kestis.
Oh my God. A crossover into Kingdom Hearts of all things. That'd be crazy.
Could you imagine?
Oh, dude,
you could imagine Cal Kestis has gone mad. You can imagine BD1 on Sora's fucking shoulder, dude. You can imagine it.
I can.
Oh, what a tragedy that would be.
Talk
I'd
about
love it.
undermining the character you're playing as. The whole time I'd be doing that level. I'd be like, why can't I play as Cal? This is stupid.
Oh man. I
He
I
can
can't,
do everything Sora can do, but better.
dude. Like I can't believe
And
it's
he's
been
got
like
cooler hair.
it's been like over a year since we heard about Kingdom Hearts 4, and it's genuinely one of those things where I'm like, I can't wait for that like release
When the
cycle
ball
to
finally
start.
drops.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait for that ball to
Till we
stop
know the
rolling
theme
because it's
song.
gonna be like because we weren't here for Kingdom
I hope
Hearts 3,
Skrillex comes
and
back.
it was the
So
funniest
bad.
fucking cycle of a video game.
It was
Like
so wild.
it was so funny
Trailers
because
without sound effects.
I wasn't even a fan and I was laughing and I thought it was so fucking funny and stupid that I bought into the hype and played the whole fucking like saga. So I'm like, I can't wait for this one. Like, if it's as stupid, I can't wait. It's gonna be great. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Anything else? I've got anything else?
A
I don't
couple
think I've
years
got-
ago, at the first like PlayStation 5 reveal thing, Capcom revealed that game that everyone thought was Kojima's thing.
Oh, with the
Pragmata.
girl.
And yeah, and it's been since then that we've heard of that. And I don't know. Capcom's run out of Resident Evil things to save PlayStation with. So maybe that'll
Pragmata
be
was
there.
it? Was that what that one
Pragmata,
was?
yes,
Yeah.
is what it was called.
That creeps me out. I don't know what it is. That little I don't know what it is. Like children in any kind of video game that kind of have that kind of dead expression or like film, you
Yeah.
know, like Megan.
I
Or
remember
whenever
when
I see stuff
Plague
like
Tale
that, just
Requiem's
kind of
box art was revealed. You were like terrified. You're like, oh, what is that? Because it was just
again.
it was the
But yeah.
brother sitting behind her, staring at the camera.
Yeah, it is fucking creepy, bro.
got
Like,
him.
it is
Yeah.
creepy. That's fucking creepy. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm in my 20s and apparently this is what people do, but it's just like children fucking scare me now. Like it's just one of those things where I'm like, no,
They
don't
don't
like
scare
it.
me, but I do think that they overwhelmingly suck.
Dude, I have a phobia of them, like genuinely. Like they make me uncomfortable. I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, I don't like you. You're just weird. Don't like it. But no, that's especially when they look like the Pragmata person, where they're like, "I'm emotionless. I might be a horror character, and you might not know it yet." Like, I don't like it.
I mean,
So I hope we
it'd
don't
be
see
cool to
that.
see if that exists, because I don't know. They had back when the PS4 was launching, they had a game called Deep Down that never saw the light of day. Pragmata may be just that, but for the PS5. But it'd be cool if it wasn't.
Yeah, just everything is just that weird
as
little
far as
girl,
other
and it looks
things.
very Kojima.
It does.
It's just just very weird. And it's just realistic people, you know, in video games. It's very uncanny sometimes. Like it's just very uncanny. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at these screenshots. I'm like, oh yeah, it's also the one with the fucking astronaut on the moon. I'm like, of course, this game's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. I don't have any other Hail Marys. We're done. I can't think of anything else. I can't think of it. Yo, Crash Team Rumble,
Yeah.
anybody? I hope there's a Crash Team Rumble trailer.
I
Please.
hope they drop another beta test.
Hope they don't, bro. I really hope they don't. Here's the thing. I liked Crash Team Rumble, but I'm also prepared to play it for a month and then here in 6 months it's closing. You know, like that's where I'm at
Yep.
with Rumble right now, where it's like I'll have a great
That
month.
is where it's at. Yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be funny. Oh well. Please be making a Spyro 4 in the background like people think you are. Please. They are, Kyle. They are.
You think
You can't
so?
tell me otherwise. They're doing like this is and this is not podcast talk, but fuck it, why not? You guys are still here, right? Who cares about audience retention? It's just like stuff in
It's
the
all
art book.
part of the outro.
Yeah, it's like there's stuff in the art book where like there's like in the food run level there was like there was like a digital like Spyro kind of like hologram thing, and it said Spyro and then there was a 4 underneath it, and then in this recent blog post someone was like, you guys are making Crash 5 and Spyro 4 as well, and they were like, haha. Like they didn't deny anything. They were just like, haha, yeah, that's funny. It's just like they're obviously making something in the background. I just hope that it's Spyro, because if it's another Crash game, I love Crash, man, but fucking hell, just give us a new Spyro first. Anyway, I'm done. It's time to go. We'll be back next week to talk all about if we saw Pragmata. Did the little girl still creep me the fuck out? Find out next week.
Yeah, it showed
Giant
up. It
jump
sure
scare.
did. But
Yeah. Spoiler alert, definitely. God, if that is a horror game, dude, fuck it hell. No, I hate it. We'll see.
It'd be really funny for them to just have a one-off horror game while Resident Evil is also in its resurgence here.
That would be funny.
It's secretly Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 9,
They go to
guys. That's going to be
space.
announced. They love doing that at PlayStation things. Resident Evil 9, baby.
Yeah.
They won't. It's fine. They can have a little break. It's all good. Anyway, we'll be back next week. We'll talk all about it. I'm sure we'll make some little, so maybe we'll make some predictions about Xbox as well while we're there, because then the next week will be Street Fighter, so we might not have time. So we might bundle it all together. We'll see. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll be back next week, same time, same place, to talk all about it. But yeah, until then, have an awesome week. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.